Hi teachers, today we're talking about two books I think will be great for your classroom library, Count Me In and The Hiding Place. Let's start with Count Me In. Count Me In is a fantastic book to have in your school classroom library for upper elementary, maybe even 6th and 7th graders. I don't think I would do 8th graders because the vocabulary is not particularly challenging, but under 8th, fantastic story. It's beautifully written. It's about two neighbors, Chris and Karina. Chris is from a white family. Karina's from an Indian American family. These kids are neighbors, but they're not friends. They just don't interact at all. They go to the same school. They don't really acknowledge each other. And then one day on the bus, Chris is sitting with some boys who make fun of Karina, and he doesn't say anything, but he doesn't intervene either. So, I mean, that's just the first couple of pages of the book. So already you've got a topic for a rich class discussion. Then the plot moves forward, and Karina's grandfather ends up tutoring Chris in math. And the three of them become very close friends. And then as the plot moves along again, one day the three of them are walking back from a store or something, and they are the victims of a hate crime. And it's devastating for them, obviously, but the plot thickens even more when, after the crime, Karina decides she wants to speak out and do something about it, and she posts a picture of her grandfather's broken eyeglasses on social media. And the post, spreads quickly through her school. Some of the kids react positively, some do not. There's another point for discussion. The next thing you know, she's got the news media at the school. They've picked up the story, and it's how the two friends stay close to deal with this environment that's sort of come up all around them, and how each family is dealing with the crime. It's just a very powerful story. It's very well written and definitely needs to be in classroom libraries. This is a fantastic story. It's just a great vehicle for teachers to use to have some discussion on difficult topics, but to have those discussions come about in a more organic way. When you're talking about characters in a book, it's much easier than to talk about the news or something somebody might have heard from a friend, or whatever the case might be. Books are the perfect vehicle to help teachers have these difficult conversations and teach very valuable lessons that need to be taught. All right, the second book is The Hiding Place, and this is a total score for me because, number one, it is nonfiction, and I love that. This is the story of Corrie ten Boom, who was a young lady. She was single, living with her family in Holland when the Nazis invaded and took over Holland during World War II. It's the story of how her family copes with the occupation, how they become part of the resistance, how they hide. They are not a Jewish family, but they hide Jewish people within their home, not long term, because they were trying to find places outside of Holland to send these people to, so they would be even safer. But and eventually they're caught, and it is a firsthand account of what it was like to be in a female concentration camp. Corrie ten Boom is one of the two sisters that ended up at Ravensbrück, and it's such a moving story. Again, because it's nonfiction, it takes on this whole new realm of serious literature in the eyes of the middle schoolers that I've been offering it to. Now, I will say that middle schoolers are fascinated with the topic of World War II and what was happening with humanity in general during that time period. But when you read fiction based on the time period, a lot of times, so many of those books are well written. I mean, one of my favorite books is Refugee, for my classroom library. But in this book, because it's nonfiction, it doesn't take everything you've ever heard about World War II and roll it up to one character's life. Instead, it's nice to read a firsthand account of what the long days were like in that concentration camp, not just certain events that happened while they were in the concentration camp. At the end of that novel, you would think that I would have some kind of writing assignment based on the sister, Corey, who wrote the book, who survived and was able to tell the story. However, her life never would have been the same without her sister, Betsy. And so I like to have my students write, how did Betsy Ten Boom impact her family, her community, and even her world? Because before she died, she said to her sister Corey, I mean, she died in the concentration camp, but before she died, she said to her sister Corey, we have to tell what we've learned. We have to tell everybody what we've learned here. And she was just such a beacon of hope and spreading the message of love rather than hate. And I can't wait to get the writing back from the kids and see how they've explored Betsy's life and how, again, what a significant impact she has. All right, so the 2 books from today, Count Me In and The Hiding Place. I do need to say one more thing about The Hiding Place. The first 75 pages are life before the war. So it is not a jump into it and then there's all kinds of action right away kind of book. The first 75 pages, Corey's dad was a watchmaker. It's about being a watchmaker. It's about her sister and her mother, serving meals and waiting on family members and the people that came and worked in their shop. And it does spend a lot of time sort of describing their house, but their house ends up being such an important, almost a character of its own, because that's where the hiding place was located. So getting all of those details in might not be the most exciting reading, but it sets up the situation so that you understand this family and their values, so that when the war comes, you are really able to appreciate how they stuck to their beliefs when times got hard. Okay, guys, happy reading. I hope everyone has a great day.